Last month, Amazon announced the Fire Phone, equipped with this cool dynamic perspective feature. The phone will also have a lot of Amazon-specific features like the Firefly recognition software, the Mayday support service, and free Prime for a year, all of which is sure to please the Amazon-loving crowd, but will it be enough to grab a wider market? Who knows? But what I know is we got our hands on one and we're gonna tear it down. Hi, I'm Gwendolyn with iFixit, and today Amazon set the bar pretty high with the features jam-packed into their Fire Phone. But will the repairability score be enough to impress us? Design-wise, the Fire Phone is simple, just a rounded black box with a glass screen. The front of the phone has the most notable features, including a raised home button and 5 visible cameras, most of which handle the head tracking involved with the phone's dynamic display. Size-wise, the Fire Phone measures in at 139.2 by 66.5 millimeters. It is 8.9 millimeters thick and weighs in at 160 grams. Getting into the phone proved easy enough. Our cursory inspection greeted us with 2 non-proprietary T3 screws. This teardown is off to a pleasant start. And with the help of our handy ice clock, we get our first look inside the Fire Phone. In order to separate the back pane, we just needed to disconnect a few ribbon cables. On the front half, we see the battery, motherboard, and pretty much everything that makes up the phone. And on the other, we have a tab that alerts Amazon to the fact that the phone has been opened. Sorry, Amazon. As we work on getting the battery out, we run into a few brackets. Under option number 1, there's no battery connector, so we move on to option 2, where we find what we're looking for, but we also see that the battery is held in place by some familiar adhesive. We've seen adhesive tabs like this before in both the iPhone 5S and 5C. And after some sticky resistance, the battery is out. This is a 2400 milliamp hour battery that Amazon claims will give you 85 hours of standby time, up to 22 hours of talk time, up to 65 hours of audio playback, and up to 11 hours of video playback. With the battery out, we set our sights on the motherboard, but it looks like the rear-facing camera is not ready to let go. After some sputtering and unscrewing, we get the motherboard free. Don't worry, rear-facing camera, we'll come back to you soon. The motherboard is home to the 2 GB of Samsung-made LPDDR3 RAM, and likely underneath that is the 2.2 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor. Right next door, you'll find the 32 GB of Samsung-made eMMC NAND flash memory. Along the bottom of the phone, you'll find the densely populated peripheral cable that is home to a number of components, including the micro USB port, the speakerphone speaker, the microphone, and 2 of the 4 front-facing infrared LEDs. Much like the Xbox Kinect, the Amazon Fire Phone uses the LEDs to blast out infrared light that the 4 dynamic perspective cameras interpret to create the dynamic perspective effects. Speaking of those dynamic perspective cameras, we found them thoroughly glued in place right below that cable. These cameras require careful calibration, and it looks like Amazon isn't taking any chances with them slipping out of place, which means for us to remove them, we're gonna have to do some serious prying. Other than the 4 dynamic perspective cameras in the phone, the Amazon Fire also has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera that we removed earlier, and a 2.1 megapixel front-facing camera. Last, but certainly not least, we have the front panel assembly. It took some heat from our eye opener to soften the adhesive holding it together, but we got the midframe separated from the display. This display is a 4.7-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1280 by 720 at 315 pixels per inch. We've come to the end of our teardown, which means it's time to talk repairability. At iFixit, it's our mission to teach people how to repair everything, so we give every gadget we tear down a repairability score between 1 and 10. 10 being the easiest to repair and 1 being the most difficult. The Amazon Fire Phone got a 3 out of 10, and here's why. On the upside, external non-proprietary screws mean no adhesive holding the device together, and an easier time getting in. But on the downside, tons of cables and connectors make disassembly tedious and reassembly difficult. The 4 dynamic perspective cameras are encased in glue. Replacement will mean heating and cutting. A replacement display assembly will need to include 4 replacement cameras or will require a lot of extra work transferring cameras. And finally, the Fire Phone is not modular. Several components share cables, which means an increase in cost of replacement parts. And that's our teardown. For the complete teardown, including tons of beautiful high-quality images, head on over to iFixit.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on all our latest teardowns and repair videos. You can follow us on Twitter @iFixit and give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/iFixit.